The streets of Windhoek have become home to many homeless children, many of them teenagers. The veiled and isolated nature of street children makes accurate statistics difficult to gather. However, UNICEF estimates that there are approximately 100 million children who live on the streets worldwide, with that number constantly growing. In Windhoek alone, there are approximately 1,000 children around the streets of the capital city. Studies have determined that street children are mostly boys between the ages of 10 to 14 years. Children are forced to live on the streets mostly by a combination of factors ranging from poverty, unemployment of parents and caregivers, HIV and AIDS, substance abuse, lack of parental control and supervision, peer pressure, and many other problems within the family.
Producer Hilda Uunona from the Specialized Programs section of the NBC spent a day on the streets of Windhoek to find out how these children survive. In the early morning hours, the producer starts off her visit at a common location where most street children are known to sleep, the town bridge. However, she does not find any of them there, as they have gone to the streets already. She surveys the place and wonders how these children sleep at night, in the harsh weather, under a bridge, and with no blankets or enough warm clothes. As she continues her search around the streets of Windhoek, she comes across several street children, but they are wary and reluctant to talk. Finally, she has better luck at an old abandoned house in Auspanplatz. The house, painted white with tall grass around the yard, has become a new shelter for many street children in Windhoek. Upon arrival, they are relaxed, with some laughing and chatting idly, but as soon as they become aware of strangers, they scatter and start to run away. Seated on a big stone outside the house is 14-year-old Silvanus Kober, a short Damaranama-speaking boy. Kober is indeed a shy boy. It takes the producer 20 minutes to coax him into giving his name and age, and whether the information he gives is true or not, only he knows. He says he was born and raised in Gobabis. Both his parents are still in Gobabis, but he came to Windhoek 2 years ago. He says life in Gobabis was not the kind he wanted to live, and he describes the poverty and lack of education that drove him to the streets of Windhoek.
I came to struggle here because life is expensive. We are suffering in Gobabis. We are really suffering with everything. Everything is just too expensive. I don't like it at home because my parents don't take care of me. There are too many children at home in Gobabis. Life here is better than being at home. We are staying well. We don't struggle with anything. I am now on the streets for 1 year, 6 months. I sleep in this house with my sister. I want to stay like this for the rest of my life.
Kober never attended school in his life. However, he expresses the wish to go to school.
I never attended school in my life. My parents never gave me the opportunity to go to school. I would not mind going to school. I really want to go to school. As long as it's school in Windhoek, I don't mind. I just don't want to be in Gobabis.
He does not want to hear anything about Gobabis. Every time the name Gobabis is mentioned, he shakes his head dejectedly. He prefers the life on the streets that have become his new home. He has grown accustomed to the life he is living, a life of begging for money and asking for assistance around the streets of Windhoek.
I struggled around town. but mostly in Klein Windhoek. Sometimes I don't get much, sometimes I do. People are fine, they don't really insult me. So at least here I'm getting some money to buy food. I like it here. I first used to sleep at Marwamo with some boys. Now they are staying in Klein Windhoek. I will go back home by myself. I don't want anybody to take me there. I don't want to attend school in Gobabes. I just want to stay here.
The second spot, popularly known as home to many street children in Windhoek, is the Independence Avenue. Here we come across many begging and asking for help. It proves very difficult to speak to them, with many refusing to talk, some demanding payment before they say anything, others asking for food or even blankets, while some simply run away. As the producer surveys the street, she notices people seated on the lawn opposite the Telecom Namibia building. They seem happy by the look on their faces. Some are singing and making fun of each other.
If you wanna come to my voice, like it's sick.
Next.
While others are waiting at the side of the road, holding buckets and washcloths, waiting for the cars passing by. These ordinary street-living people have created an illegal car wash business at the side of the road, where they wash cars to get an income, and sometimes they not only wash cars, they also stand at the roadside to beg for money. "26-year-old Stafford Peterson has been living on the street for most of his life. He has no other home but the streets, and he relates how he found himself in this situation.
I'm from Windhoek. I used to stay with my mother and grandmother. When my grandmother passed away, my mother got the house. My mom then got married to my stepfather. She could not afford to pay my school fees, so I had to quit school. I was once arrested for something I don't want to talk about. I stayed a whole year in jail. When I was released, I went home, just to find new people staying there. The house was sold. I tried looking for my mother but could not find her. That is how I ended up in the street. I stayed in the street for 2 years without knowing where my mother was. One day my stepfather showed up. I went with him to my mother, and then they told me I could not stay with them. My stepfather was against me staying with them because we don't get along. He does not like me at all. I don't know why he hates me so much, so I had to come back to the streets.
Peterson never received any formal education. He dropped out of school while he was still in grade 1 because his mother could not afford his fees. He never wanted his life to turn out like it did, and with a sad expression, he admits that he prefers to go back to his family rather than staying on the streets.
If my family say I must go back, then I will go home. But if they don't come looking for me, then I will stay here because that clearly means they don't need me. I visit my mother here and there. We are still okay with each other. It's only me and my stepfather does not get along. Their house is in Golgotha location. I have a brother and a sister. They are in Walvis Bay. And they don't care about me as well. My mother does not give me anything. No one gives me anything. I have to give my mother some money, which I get from the street.
Efforts to get hold of his mother went to naught, as Peterson refused to accompany the producer or provide any details, saying he does not want any more complications or problems with his stepfather. Without proper shelter and the bare basic necessities, he further outlines many of the problems that he encounters on the streets.
Life on the streets is very difficult. If we get a car that we can watch, then it's fine. But if we don't, we go sleep on a hungry stomach. I normally just watch cars. We are not allowed to watch the cars here but we just do it. We need to eat. I don't want to start grabbing people's things on the streets. That is why I'm watching cars. We normally get $20 to $30 per car, and a day can pass by without us getting anything. We sleep on the floor. I only have one blanket, and it's very cold here. We are suffering. At least you people are sleeping in your houses. We don't. We are feeling cold. We only have one blanket. We have to wake up 4 o'clock in the morning and sit on the side of the road, make fire and drink coffee from there.
Peterson dreams of reuniting with his mother and going back home. For him, street life is not the life he would want to live forever. His wish is for his family to come looking for him, to take him home, and for life on the streets to end. Meanwhile, 25-year-old Sean Richter is another street dweller encountered. He was born and raised in Aranos, but he decided to move to Windhoek to continue his secondary school. Life became tough for him as a schoolboy in the city, and he saw himself turn to drugs and alcohol that later became a priority instead of school.
I came to stay in the streets because I used to drink and I was very naughty. My father was very disappointed in me. That is why I had no choice but to come to the street. I am now in the street for 5 years. I made new friends here, so this is now my home. They say ask and you shall get. It's not so difficult here because we are asking. When you ask help from some people, they will help you. If you are lucky, you get good people who give you more than just money. Sometimes they give us old clothes and so on, especially in winter times. They give us blankets and so on.
Although Richter's father is willing to welcome him back home, he refuses to go, saying he has accepted the streets as his new home.
The will is there to go home, but what am I going to do there? I need a job. I need to take care of myself. What am I going to do there? I'm now 25 years old. I want a job, at least to keep me busy, even if it's just a cleaning job. My father is here in Windhoek, but my mother passed away. That is why there's no one to take care of me. I need to take care of myself. I also stay with my sister here on the streets. My father has another wife, but I don't know her. I cannot go home. This is the life. If I go back to Aranos, I will just end up in jail again. There is nothing to do in Aranos. For me, this is the life. I can even sleep on the roof of a building. Yes, I can. It's not difficult for me, as long as I just wake up every morning.
The 2006 Demographic Health Survey shows that there were 25,000 orphans and vulnerable children in Namibia, and according to the Ministry of Gender Equality and Child Welfare, this number is on the increase if the amount of cases the ministry has to deal with is anything to go by. The after-school center, which is situated in Katutura, is a government institution which falls under the Ministry of Gender Equality and Child Welfare. It is an overnight shelter component which specifically caters for children living on the streets and those who have nowhere to go after school. Adelaide Mbaukwa is the Community Liaison Officer at the center, and she explains how they assist the street children.
They are also going through a rehabilitation which includes counseling, video programs, reading and writing, basic mathematics, art and craft, and other entertainment activities.
Predicting the future of the Namibian street children is difficult. However, creating a bond with a parent or guardian could contribute to a brighter future for the children.
This program was compiled and produced by Hilda Uunona of the Specialized Program section of the NBC.